You are live, it says. We'll see.
Dad's not live. I need to know what to join.
Here we go. We're going now.
Okay.
So if I go on the Syndicate, Alex, I should go with
you should be good.
Let me check it out for us, bud. What are we shooting for? Are we supposed to be on the show?
There you go.
Are we set?
Should be good here. We're just testing a few things out, guys. Hopefully we should be live.
Sorry that we're late. We're still going to get Mr. Chase McAllister on the show here at 9:20, so we'll still get him on here with everybody.
Perfect. Here we go. Okay, guys. Well, welcome back.
Awesome.
Got a new look here. This live video is starting here in a second. Please bear with us. Perfect. Okay, guys. Well, welcome back. New look here. We have the Invested American podcast hosted here. I'm extremely grateful. A whole lot of different things have been happening with Friday Fuel, obviously, the past couple weeks. I was actually doing a show with Joshua Youngs, did a show with, I had another guest on. So it's been a lot of different moving parts. The past, I guess you could say, so-called 3 weeks has been pretty crazy for the show in itself. But I went back and forth with Joe and Tony. My dad and I are extremely grateful for all the opportunities that have been given to us. Obviously, to do this platform of the show, I've been doing Friday Fuel for almost a year now. So it's, man, it is really, really crazy.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
I'm extremely grateful. But whole new look here. Obviously, Friday Fuel is now the Invested American podcast. So what's cool, what's actually going to end up happening now is my dad and I, as we're doing this podcast together, we're actually going to be able to stream it to our YouTube now. So now it can get on our YouTube channel. But how are you doing today?
Alexander, great start for our show here. I appreciate you, son. Yeah, we're pretty excited. What happened was I was talking to Joe, and we were talking about the Invested American podcast and Alexander and I, and he's like, man, we would just love to have you guys be part of the syndicate. And, you know, I already love Joe, and I already love Tony. I love that show that they just started a couple of weeks ago, Alexander, with Ask the Experts. And then I feel like the staple of this whole thing's been Luke Acree on Mondays. You know, so just knowing that all these guys are in the network and doing shows there, and then obviously having, you know, everyone that's part of the syndicate, I was just fired up about it. I said, why wouldn't we do this? Alex, it'd be a great time. So
yeah, I'm pretty fired up, man.
Anyway,
it's exciting.
That is the deal there. Sorry for the delays. So exactly what was up that when you were going live, what was that about?
Yeah. So what I was doing was I was trying to get back with someone too.
Yeah.
StreamYard is having a whole new thing that they've been doing for the past 3 or 4 weeks. Joe knows what I'm talking about, but they said that you can no longer pre-live stream. So now when we were to go live, I have to set it up the time of, because you can't pre-schedule streams anymore on StreamYard. So
I wonder what that's about.
yeah, so I'm trying to figure it out to where we can actually get it set up to go previously, so we don't have to worry about the day of getting the stream set up and getting everything ready to go. You know what I mean? So that'll definitely be a work in progress. But we do have a special guest that's going to come on today as well. But I know we wanted to make sure give them a rundown of what we'll be talking about.
Yes. So I want to just kind of go over a few things with everybody on what this podcast is going to be, because Alexander and I definitely want to create a show that will separate from all the other shows. Every show needs to bring something, right? And with this show, with the Invested American podcast, here's our intentions. We're going to take the first 15, 20 minutes out of the show and have a discussion. It'll be Alex and I having a discussion about a topic. It could be personal. It could be professional. Whatever the vibe is, that's what Alexander and I will do. And what we're going to encourage you all as viewers, people that watch or listen, please send us a conversation. Send us an idea piece that you want Alexander and I to talk about. It might be something as simple as, daily things we might do on a personal level. It might be about golf. It might be about something professional or how we work together. Whatever the discussion, we'll have a discussion every episode. We're also going to take out 15 minutes of every episode, and we're going to discuss retirement planning. We're going to discuss index universal life policies. We're going to discuss FAs and FIAs. We're going to just discuss different retirement funds. And for those advisors that are on the show today that are watching or tuning in later, if you have your securities license and you do assets under management, this show is going to be for you. And we'll take discussions out. Next week, we'll do something basic, right? We'll talk about just what is an annuity, what's index universal life, and we'll start launching it from there. And every week, we'll continue to grow. We'll take a segment. And then every episode, Alexander and I are going to work our tails off, with the relationships we have and the great quality of people we work with and we know, and from referrals, we're going to have a guest on the show to talk about their area of expertise or their area of what they do, not just to really brag on themselves, but what they're bringing to the community, what they're bringing to us, so we can also grow and be better. So, and I'm also excited to be on, working with Alexander, being part of the syndicate. So I'm pretty stoked about that too.
Yeah.
Did I miss something? Did I say something too much? What do you think?
A lot of good things. I think you already told everybody, but you got that new big tablet, smartboard tablet.
I didn't bring it up.
Okay, go ahead. Yeah, go.
So
Go for it.
what we'll do as well as part of our segment when we talk about retirement planning is Alexander and I here at TIA, we got a nice smart board. And the reason we got the smart board is so we can start going on social media live, doing podcasts and going over different things. So when we're going over annuities, we might pull up an illustration and start breaking down the illustration. We can do that through the smart board, and you guys will be able to see that interactive thing go on too. So we're really excited about that, to continue to increase the brand, increase the quality of what we're doing and what we're bringing together.
Yep, it'll be perfect. I think it'll be, like you said, more interactive. So everyone will be able to scratch on it and stuff like that,
And I think what'll be good, Alex, is while we're doing it, I think we'll get viewers that might have a question because they'll see something. They don't understand how this works, And I love it because what it's going to do, it will cause you all to not just get educated on it, but to also ask me questions. And sometimes I may not know the answer. That'll be good for me. I always tell Alexander, man, we want questions that we don't know the answers to, because that's what makes us better. As long as we got the basics done and we're not just living in the weeds.
Yep. Yeah. Love it. So like I said, guys, in the beginning of the podcast, a lot of good stuff coming up. Obviously, we're going to do a lot of stuff with retirement, but also obviously previously with Friday Fuel, we would like to motivate you guys, get you guys fired up for next week, and just make sure that you guys have the right headspace and the right mindset moving into next week. Because like you said, if you had a bad last week, you can still have a good next week, right? A lot of people carry over. I think, Dad, what we see oftentimes in the industry, people have a bad last week, but then they'll have that negative mindset going into next week, and it just kills them for next week, right?
Always. If you haven't heard the principle, you never have a bad day, you had a bad yesterday. You never have a bad week, you had a bad last week. Because it's all about the planning and preparing. It's all about the consistency. It's about performing the action over and over and over again. And what's funny about that, Alex, is that really launches us to our guest, I want you to finish what you said. I mean, that's, since we've been, working with Chase, and we've got to spend a lot of time with him and his organization, he'll talk more about that. His whole thing's all about consistency. I mean, the fact is, if you're not consistent, you're not going to make it, and that's in anything that you do.
So, I mean, this guy is a freaking beast, as we know, guys. I mean, if any of you guys were at SWAT, hopefully, I think a lot of people were, that's in the syndicate, but he spoke on stage, freaking killed it. His little intro video killed it.
His wife killed it. Forget Chase. His wife killed the intro video. And now he's still not on, but he can hear us, so this messes with him.
So without further ado, we'll definitely bring this guy on right now. Mr. Chase, what is up, my man? Let's go.
What's going on, guys? What an intro. And my wife probably heard
Yes, sir. Can you hear us okay? Hold up.
Hold up 1 second. Hang on one second.
We're having a little time hearing you. 1 second. Give me 1 second.
Can you hear me now?
Should be out of here.
No worries, buddy.
Can you hear us now, brother?
I can hear you.
Perfect.
Perfect.
Yep.
We're
There's a
all
little bit of an echo, guys.
Okay.
So you might want to turn me down a little silently on
Yep.
your
Yep. 1 second here. Give me 1 second. Sorry. Let me try to move the mic out of the way just a tad.
I think we're good. Yeah,
Okay.
I think
There may be a little bit of feedback, bro, but this is kind of the format we're working with right now.
Well, you came on episode 1. Stop bitching.
No. I was just about to say, let me thank you. I feel honored to be on episode 1. When you said that, I didn't know it was the first episode. So, dude, thank you, both of you guys.
So, Chase, just to be clear, we've been doing the podcast at the Best American Podcast, and it was with Joe and Tony. We talked about it. We're just moving it here. So this is our first episode here on the syndicate. So we're pretty fired up about being on here with everybody.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for the kind intro. I know my wife, as I said, probably heard that, so she's probably there like,
Hey, Chase, dude, I love it. And, I want to give you the floor. And for those that don't know, your wife and you work the business together. She has her role. You have your role. You guys do your own thing. You guys have live family, just like, my wife and I, have over the years. But yeah, man, I'll tell you, I think what's so powerful is that when I was talking about your wife, I wasn't making that up. She leaves a mark in the video which really is attractive to people. You know what I mean? So when I said it, I mean, the part of what attracted Alexander and I is part of that energy, part of that family energy that you bring, but you're both just great, regular old people.
Yeah.
From Canada, but you know what I'm saying.
I think it's important to remain true to who you are. And I'm not the corporate person. So what you get is what you see, or what you see is what you get. I kind of wear my heart on my sleeve. And I think that drives the authenticity of who you are when you're not trying to be some TV face or somebody to project themselves as somebody they're not. I'm not the corporate guy. I'm not the expert or anything. I'm just a guy that was a little delusional, kept doing the exact same thing over and over again, and then finally had some success.
Wow.
Not sex, really not sex, but I mean, it's really more to, but so for me, it's really important to just be myself and know that even when we get to a part of business, we've had great months, we've had really crappy months. Last month was a really crappy business. It really was a test to our will to keep going, and you're always going to have that. It's never going to be perfect, and I think business is always a roller coaster. That's why remaining consistent is the number one thing. But thank you for having me on, guys. I really, really do appreciate it.
Yeah, man, dude, I appreciate you coming on. A lot of good things that we're doing with you, obviously with the Invested American, which I'm pretty fired up with. First couple of days I had a little issues, but yesterday was actually my first real day. My phone number, something spam call, something or another, but it's all figured out now, which I'm pretty fired up about. But if you could please explain to everyone else that could be struggling in the business what your own model and what you're doing, so people understand, what you do in the insurance business to help other agents out.
Yeah, so we started the business. This is going to be our 7th year, which is crazy to me. And so we started doing lead gen in the beginning, and slowly but surely, when we're just selling leads to agents, when we're relying on them calling that lead, following up with that lead for them to have success. And I only make money when the agent has success and keeps buying, right? So we just kept going a little further to say, okay, how close can we get to the sale without making the sale for them, right? And so ultimately, with all leads are going to suck. So how do we build a process, not a process, a process that really that really makes it predictable for the agent? So we started doing live transfers, building call centers to call those leads for them, take a little bit of that control, but also have a live system where they can plug in and have predictability, where they could take 9-10 calls a day and condense the amount of time that they're probably spending to acquire clients in half, if not into 3/4 of the time. And so with us, we generate all our leads through SEO, some YouTube ads, etc. We then call that lead, qualify them for finance and health, and then transfer to the licensed agent. Now, we obviously don't underwrite the prospect, so you're going to have ones or twos that come in and they're not interested or whatever have you, but the predictability of the conversations was what actually set us up for success, because now the agent was actually having more success and we weren't relying on them actually following up with their leads. We'll do that. And then the next stage was, okay, we're getting these phone calls, but now we have agents that are all doing different things on those calls and pitching these clients in different ways. And so we're like, well, how do we not control the whole process, but provide a process that's predictable, not only on generating the conversation, but the sale itself. So for over a period of probably 2 years, we split tested with some of the industry's top leaders, Pete Fournier, who was in the group, and a couple of our dedicated coaches. We really narrowed down over 3 years, thousands of phone calls, a script that we know somebody walking in on day one of life insurance or has been doing in-home their entire career can jump into the platform, read this script verbatim, and start converting deals. Yes, it's a new process for anybody. So there is really 3 stages that these clients come into. One is the identity shift stage, where they're going to fall on their face because it's a new marketing, it's a new script, etc. And then we pick them back up, get them to an authoritative state where they heard all the common objections, they know how to overcome them, and they can use the script with their eyes closed. And then we get them to that predictable stage where they know when they clock in at 9 a.m., they're going to get 9 calls in that day, and they know every day they're going to obtain that same close rate. Might not be every day, but over the week, their close rate is going to be consistent. So I always say leads suck, all marketing works, but it's the process and the net you put those leads through. So we developed a process that really is foolproof in the sense of if you follow it, you will have success. And that's done wonders for our business. As you guys can see, we're pretty rigorous in the beginning, making sure we nail down those steps so that way you have the ability to have success in the program. And I don't think, and I'm not tooting our own horn, but I don't think a lot of lead companies and transfer companies do that type of work. I hear all the time, like we do sometimes more than an IMO does as a lead vendor. And that is the truth. And the nice part is when we find companies like the Invested American to work with, you guys are super coachable. I just need to praise you guys for a bit. Your entire team came on and absorbed like a sponge. Nobody brought pride to the table. Nobody brought their ego to the table. And I think that comes down to like, you guys have great leaders. Your dad is an amazing dude. And I before, in SWAT, we had a conversation about God. And it was like, I've never been an overly religious man. And after SWAT, having a conversation with Allie, we've really started to open up our spirituality again and dive into that. And I said this to your dad the other day. I think God put you in front of me for a reason. And anyways, I really do appreciate you guys and the work that you're putting in to really make this thing work for you guys. So
I appreciate it.
No, man, we're fired up. Chase, there's a host of questions that Alexander and I want to ask you, and I'm going to try to do it in a perspective where I haven't got some experience with you, but also I will assure you that during the show and other people will listen to it, I'm also going to recognize some of the great things. So first, I want to start right off the bat with you, okay? A lot of times I would say to you that lead vendors are trying to supply us leads so we can make sales and do what we got to do. A couple comments I heard this week working with you is, man, do these guys work for us or do we work for them? And it just hit me. And I loved it because I had to remind everybody. I said, whoa, they have a system. We got to memorize the system. We got our own scripts, we got our own heads, we got our own opinions on stuff. But they're telling us, if you don't do this, you can't do what we're telling you. You just don't need to work with us. I love on Tuesday's conference call, you did a takeaway with the audience. If you're not going to do what we say, then this isn't going to be the place for you, And the simplest way I could say it, Chase, is I hand this over to you because you, I'm sure, have lost opportunities in business because I do think you guys put your foot down, the way this is going to work. And that is going to turn people off. But I remind people, I told one of my advisors this today, stop talking to me about your opinion about things. Did you know what 5 times 5 meant first? Or did you know that 5 times 5 equaled 25 first? Look, I had no idea what 5 times 5 meant, but I knew that 5 times 5 was 25, 6 times 8 was 48, 9 times 7 was 63. And I didn't know why. And I didn't understand all the patterns originally, but my dad made sure I had them memorized. First memorize, then go and understand. The floor is yours, brother.
Well, it's exactly it. There's 2 people that we have struggles with that come into the program. It's the guy that's making $600,000 a year, which I don't know why he even looked at us if he's already doing that. He shouldn't change what he's doing. That just says, no, I don't need your script. I know what I'm doing. I can take this from here. And then typically when we listen to those calls, he's trying to, hey, do you have a bank account? You want to buy insurance or not? In the first 2 minutes, right? And you're like, this isn't going to work. And then and typically we butt heads, and it isn't until we butt heads that we both put our ego aside that it actually works. But 9 times out of 10, they will refuse to do that. And so we have to part ways because I'm not going to waste our calls that are going to go to somebody else that will follow the process on somebody that's not willing to do that. It just doesn't make sense for our business. It doesn't make sense for theirs. And then we have another person that struggles. It's the person that comes in who truthfully hasn't done a lot of telesales, maybe hasn't done any on-the-fly underwriting. It's a fast-paced environment. So you have to be prepared to know the products. I would suggest pick 3 products that you know really well and just stick with those and then add as you go. But then there's the folk that really just aren't that experienced yet. And we have to say, hey, you're going to have to take some time, come back to us when you have some sales under your belt, because I don't want you to burn through 25, 50 calls and that you could have converted, but didn't have the know-how how to pivot a client on underwriting, et cetera. We can have somebody Actually, we had one of Antoine's cousins. If there's any compliance nuts in here, don't listen to this. But we had one of his 13-year-old cousins go through the script on a call one time and basically got it up to the quote. And the person's like, "Yeah, I'm ready to go." And if you follow the script, it will work. But if you don't know the underwriting and you don't know how to quote or lay down the sale, then it's probably not for you. So those are the two people that we really struggle with. I hope that answers your question.
I love that. I love that.
I was gonna ask too, Chase. So I know, was it yesterday? Antoine was talking about getting referrals and stuff. And
right, with the script like
yeah.
Fournier has at the end of that.
Yeah.
That they have. Yeah.
I was gonna ask you, Chase, because I have my own way of getting referrals. What I do in field, right?
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, I don't. Not that I forget to ask. I just don't think about asking sometimes when I get off the the phone. But,
my fire alarm's going off. I apologize. One sec. How does this happen?
Because your leads are on fire.
Sorry, guys. 1 second. Let's see if I can get this
You're good. Guys, his leads are just that good. His leads are just that good.
Good morning. All right, look at we get such a good say hello to a few.
Yeah. What up, Joe? I appreciate you, bro. What's up, dude? Lily, I appreciate you. I will definitely connect with you this week so we can get a couple overlays going for the Invested American podcast for sure. And then Incenta, that's if I said that right. Good morning. How are you doing as well?
Give her a shout out. Good morning.
Yeah.
Love that.
I appreciate all the comments, guys. Also, I want to make sure we make this aware. Alante, I appreciate you in the show. I appreciate it. We wanted to make mention is when we're doing the podcast together throughout all of this, if you guys have anything you guys want us to talk about, whether that's anything with retirement, like we'll be touching on, but you guys
let me in on my phone.
Phone's fine. Yeah, I got you. I can add you in.
We could do that, bro.
Sorry, I'm gonna go outside, guys.
You have to Alex, hey, slow down. We're gonna mute you. Alexander's gonna finish the point he's making, and we'll come right back to you. Slow down. He'll finish his point. We're coming right back.
Just like I said again, I just want to make sure whatever you guys want to see us talk about, retirement, personal, business, motivational, I want you guys to make sure you comment it because we can do even one whole show out of the one thing you guys want us to talk about.
It's funny. We've had people tell us all that, man, how's it like working together? Well, how you guys deal with this? Or how do you guys deal with that? Well, let's talk about it. So, if there's a topic or something you guys want to see Alexander and I discuss, personal or professional, throw it on here. Reach out to us and we'll make that happen.
Yep. Yeah.
Let's get our man back.
Cool. Yes, sir. Chase is back on here after the fire alarm just went off.
So, Chase, hey, by the way, now that you're outside and you're in Canada, is it like 25 degrees outside today because it's cold over there?
Yeah, it's beautiful. I think it's degrees Celsius. I think we're at like 20, 28.
Right.
So I was wanting to ask you, Chase, because obviously I have my own referral strategy that I use, but I was curious to see when you're calling leads or you have your team calling leads, what type of referral strategy do you have them? What type of questions do you have them asking to get the referrals from the live transfers that they're selling?
So it's a kind of two parts, right? Like if you close a deal, you should be asking them, hey, do you know 2 to 3 people that should probably benefit from my services? But also, before we even get to the quoting in our script, we are really laying down on why you are the specialist that's perfect to be speaking with. You sell yourself on why you're the guy before you even talk about policy, numbers, anything like that. So say something like the person just can't afford it. The person can't get approved, whatever have you. You've still laid the groundwork to create yourself as the expert, but also with a passionate side that's really understanding. So even if you don't close it, you should be asking, hey, do you know 2 to 3 people that might be able to benefit from the services that I provide? And so it's kind of two ways. You're going to obviously ask that if you close it, but if you don't close it, you should be asking two as well. So like one of our guys, Mark Jameson, who's also a coach in the program, I would say every deal he closes, he gets another one. He'll get 2 referrals and close another one. So he's basically exponentially growing from the amount of calls that he's taking from us. He also follows up like an insane amount. For anybody that he doesn't close on the first call, he's calling every single day on those people. So, you got to think about it. Some people might not be ready today, but you're still going to have their name, phone number, and contact information to be able to follow up. So yeah, you might not close them today, but you're still building a database of leads that you can follow up on your spare time with too. That's the beautiful thing about live transfers is they already know who you are because you spoke to them before they were even technically a lead in your pipeline. So just because you don't close them today, still rigorously follow up with these guys.
Yeah, I had something to add, and then you can ask me a question. What I did learn too, Chase, what you'll appreciate, I'm sure you already know this, is at SWAT in 2022, I learned this from Pete. He was on stage, and he said, you want to make sure you get 3 beneficiaries on a life insurance policy. Those 3 beneficiaries are automatically through referrals, right?
Yeah.
Then you call up those beneficiaries saying, hey, I took care of your mom. She made sure that, we had a plan for her set up, and then she referred me to you. Obviously, you were the beneficiary, so I just want to let you know, too, up and beyond her passing, you'd be the one receiving all the proceeds. She also did want me to ask you what your current life insurance situation was, because I also did help her out, and she wanted me to do the same for you, right? That's been game-changing for me, too, is using that strategy as the referrals.
I should ask you that question then.
Chase, let me dive into this with you a little bit. Let's talk about your business, because you said something that triggered me. You said, Allie, some of the support we've given, I've heard people say to us that we offer, better support than their FMO does, and maybe it was just you dropped a little nugget for us that maybe there's a future strategy in that. That's interesting. So we'll see how that evolves for you. But that is a side piece. Let's discuss, though, what you guys are doing different than maybe other people. Share if you want to share some of your opportunities, but let's dive into some of the specifics, because I do think that you are offering an FMO type support system. I do think that you're creating a network where people can feel good about helping one another, but I also think you guys have put a system together that gets people to put their butts to work. One of the notes I shared with a couple of my guys yesterday, I said, listen, I've been in the business for 15 years. And I've had tremendous success. I'm grateful to God for everything that's ever happened. Okay. And what I do is, because I was so done with trying to keep making phone calls and setting up to meet with people, that I started doing retirement seminars as a way to get in front of people. So I would do these retirement seminars. People would show up, they would see me, and then I could set appointments. It made it more powerful. That's what I feel like you're offering to people. It's like, hey, you don't want to make appointments? Don't worry about it. We're going to have them call you. And now let's go to work. So when people complain, man, I just need a break. For what? You wanted your phones to ring. But I want you to really dive into this and talk about your separation versus others.
So, give me a second.
No worries.
So ultimately what we do is, I'm just getting back in, the fire alarm's done. So ultimately what we do is, not only do we provide support in the community as well, but we're also we have coaches that'll sit down with you one-on-one. We're going to review all of your calls with you, make sure that you're aligned with that process, and track your stats probably better than most agents track their own stats. And that's the key difference, is that I'm not here to just throw some leads in your face and hopefully you close them. One, I'm going to get the person on the call with you, which is the most tangible conversation. And then I'm also going to sit there, review them with you, sit down one-on-one to make sure that you're getting to those close rates, average close rate of like 30%. What we got going on? Sorry.
No, you're good. You're good.
Then work with you every step of the way to ensure that you get.
So is that him or is that us at all? It's on him.
We're losing Chase here, guys. Give us a minute.
Chase.
Allie, I'm going to go for my.
Oh, he left us.
All right.
We see how it is, Chase. He'll join back. There he is. Boom.
What a nightmare story for your first podcast. I'm totally kiboshing this.
Chase, I just want to say, with all the viewers here, because this way there's no rumors. With all these technical difficulties, just so you know, we're not paying you for today's appearance. So don't get any money.
I'm also not paying you. I think we've so ultimately, we looked, like, me in my career here, I've had the opportunity to look under the hood of multiple different IMOs. And Not to say that they're bad, because they all have their own strategies, but we took what they had that was good, maybe what they were lacking, and just provided it as a lead, because it didn't really cost us anything. It doesn't really cost me much more to have the coaches. It does cost, but the amount of revenue and the consistency of our customer base really goes high up. And so for us, it was a necessity to build these support systems in there. And I think a lot of IMOs could learn from that these things don't take a lot of costs and time. It's really just the level of support that you put in place. And we rigorously follow up with our clients and make sure that they are actually aligned and they don't fall off. I have to take so many people off the ledge, and sometimes I might be an insurance agent therapist. And I think that any IMO or agency owner would agree with me. And a lot of the times we struggle with not only just what we're doing or what the client's results are, but their mindset, because they have 2-3 bad days and don't have anybody to reach out to. So we had to make sure that we could hold their hands each and every day to ensure that they had somebody that has understood what they're going through, has been through it all, and knows all the good, the bad, and the ugly, and how to overcome it. And that's the key differentiator. It's not the leads. It's not even just the scripting. It's the level of support that we're with you every step of the way that really makes the difference. And ultimately, I wouldn't change that for the world, to the point where we've had opportunities to start new lead programs. And it takes us now, where a lot of vendors will just shoot by the hip, it takes us 6 to even 8 months to develop something, so that way we can find guys that are crushing it, have them become coaches, build out the systems necessary so we can monitor the success of each and every agent that comes on. Because it doesn't matter. I could send you a lead and you can inevitably close it 1 or 2 times, but I want to make sure it's predictable and duplicatable, because if I try to scale this thing out and it doesn't happen and we have mixed results across our client success, then I'm just churning and burning clients all the day long. And we still have good churn. I mean, in the lead industry, if you're ever thinking about starting your lead company, I suggest you do not, because the churn is far greater than your insurance policies. I can tell you that. We'll have guys that make $60,000, $70,000 in a month, find a new shiny object and leave inevitably. It's just going to happen. So we wanted to make sure that we stayed with them every step of the way. And even when they're just starting, yes, we do a lot of support. But once they start crushing it, we have a guy that closed $105,000 in 2 months. In his first 45 days, actually. And some people will be like, oh, let's just get on a testimonial. We don't have to worry about this guy. He's going to keep buying. We sat down with him to review all of his calls to say, are you tying these deals down? Because I don't want to be in a position where you call me in 3 weeks and say, all of these policies charged back, and you went and bought an Audi, which has happened. And so we want to make sure that it has happened. It has happened. Some guy closed and then disputed all of his charges. So we have to protect ourselves to make sure that you are actually retaining this business too. And so you'll get to a level where you're crushing it, but we're also still going to coach you from there, because we've seen it time and time and again where guys have great success and they still leave. And so, yeah, I hope that answers your question. It's kind of a long-winded disconnect, but.
Sorry, yeah, our camera was switching over, but
you're good.
One question I really did have with you, Chase, because obviously you built this, this pretty good live transfer business where you've helped a ton of agents out. You're going to continue to help us out with our business. But what point in your business did you have like a level of setback or adversity that you had to go through to get to where you're at today?
There's like hundreds of things. I think we did the math, me and Wesley, and there was 1,700 in our first 3 years, 1,700 absolute points of failure, that if something went wrong and we didn't push through or find a solution as quick as we did, we would have failed. So there's 1,700 times we went back and just looked at it. We spent like 6 hours one day on a Sunday and just looked like, what were those absolute points of failure? And there was like 1,700 times where this could have went tits up. If for whatever reason, there was some things that weren't in our control, just destiny helped us out and somebody came into play. And then to give you something tangible, like last month, and I don't like sharing this, I'm not going to say any names, but last month we got screwed over in a matter of 3 days. I had a buyer that's been working with us for a long time. He was taking transfers from overseas. He got sued by like 6 litigators, and then decided he was going to go bankrupt instead of following through with those lawsuits. Screwed me over for $80,000. The next day got screwed over for another $25,000 by a new buyer that just went ghost on us. And then the next day got a $12,000 credit card dispute. And like, thank goodness we have some treasure chests. Thank goodness all of my vendors, you know, even Cody or other guys that I've built great relationships with, I say, hey, like, I can't pay you today. This is what's happened. Can you lean with me? And that comes down to authenticity and just being a guy that's a man of my word. And they can trust the fact that I'm going to still take care of it. Because if they didn't, I would have had way more bills and not enough money to pay. And so just letting you know, like last month was probably one of the hardest months because we've scaled so much that the little issues now are big issues that are really hard to figure out if you can't figure it out, right? So lots of adversities, lots of things. And my wife just thinks I'm absolutely delusional. And that's probably why I've had success, is because I just keep going. And that's probably why I'm at 30.
I get it. You know, you mentioned 8%. You are going to be at 8%. Is that right?
Yeah, doing a breakout room, 8%. I'm not sure the time. I should probably look at the time. I think it's on for Friday or Saturday.
Well, I do want to say that Alexander and I, my wife Shelly, we got people of our team here that are going. Man, I don't remember the last time I wasn't at an 8%. You know, I love always what Cody's done in regarding just, you know, getting people together, getting people trained, you know, creating an environment. You know, so I was excited when you told me you were doing a breakout room. I thought, man, that's great. That'd just be good for people to come see and learn, you know, just from you, just basic fundamentals, because it's inspiring. It'll get people motivated, you know. Yeah. And I'm just excited about what you're doing and what you're laying out there. I also know that we didn't share this, but we can share it now. You know, you're also helping me with appointments for retirement appointments, right? Talking to people for annuities and IULs, setting them up in the calendar and that kind of fun stuff. So you also offer those services too. So I don't want to just talk about live transfer. So I want to make sure we introduce everybody to all the different things your company brings.
Yeah. So we do like a pension review appointment. These will be like federal employees looking to find other alternatives just to their pension. So whether that be like a 401k rollover or maybe an IUL situation. Typically, they don't know per se what they want or what they need. That's why we look for experts like yourself, Allie, who can show them through the retirement. So these folks will go on Google, see one of our websites, book in a time, or just fill out their information. We'll then email nurture them. They book a time. We'll then call or text to confirm. If they confirm through text, then we don't call. But if they don't confirm through text, we'll call them to confirm that appointment before they get to your calendar, which, you know, we see about like an 84 to 87% show rate on that first call. You know, I would say 60% are going to go to that second call for the illustration. And we see about a 30 to 40% close on that second illustration call. They're definitely more expensive. We've attempted to do it in a live transfer, but these guys are so busy. They want to set up time. They want to set appointment for those dates. So yeah, it's something that we've been doing. We don't truthfully advertise it a lot. I think it has to come from somebody that can handle those types of calls. And there's a lot of people that are writing IULs in a bad way. And we protect our prospect a lot more than we just protect our pockets. You know, even with our live transfers, I want to make sure that this guy is going to have the best interest of the client, not their pocket. And same with our appointments. I want to know that this person can actually handle that and put them in a situation that's not going to screw them either. Right. So we don't really advertise it. We only allow select few to take those appointments. And like yourself, you're starting them in a couple weeks. So
no, we're fired up about it.
Another question I had for you, Chase, was for agents that are watching that are actually interested in taking your life transfers, what's because I know you had told us, but tell me again, what was the close ratios for a new agent and then like a seasoned agent when it comes down to your life transfers? And then what's that kind of process look like?
Yeah, your first like week or two, depending on how quickly you get it through the ramp up period, you're going to be about 15 to 20%. Some are probably 10 because they're just newer to telesales. But 15 to 20% is typically what you're going to see in your first couple of weeks. Our average across the board for like the past 6 months has been anywhere from 28 to 32% close rate. Our average AP for the last 4 months, it's actually gone up. It was typically like 11.10. It's actually 11.26 now. And you're going to have $30 a month policy or a $300 a month policy. It's going to average out over the month, right? But our average is about 11.26. So let's say on average you take 100 or 100 calls, you're probably looking at about 30 grand easily, right? So every 10 calls you should be able to close 2 to 3 of those. Now, not every 10 you're going to get 2 to 3. You might get strike out on the first 10, and then the next 10 you're getting 6, whatever it might be. But on the average of the week, the month, you should be closing about 28 to 32%.
Okay. Yeah. Buddy,
Yep.
And let me tell you something. We've been here, we've been working it, and you know what? Those numbers don't lie. And the more consistent you're going to be, the more you'll get, because through follow-up, you'll just get more. And that doesn't include the referrals and all the stuff with you and Pete Fournier and the stuff you guys put together. No. That's great. You got to love Mr. Sling It. He's a badass.
Yeah.
I love it.
He's a legend. And that's why in our script we credit him, because
I saw that.
They help us.
Like he slinged it. I got it. I love it. Let me just do this real quick. It says here, I was going to ask you something else, but I'm going to go to the texts. Love your enthusiasm, Chase. Life transfers for what line of business? What kind of phone system do we need for these?
Perfect question. So we do Medicare, SUP, and then some Advantage. And then we do life. So it's a general life. I would say vast majority is going to be in a final expense market. There could be some term. There could be some whole life opportunities, but we don't shove down final expense down their throat. It's just to review their life insurance options. Now, economy at scale, it's going to probably be majority final expense on those calls. And so phone system, we actually send direct to your cell phone. So you just log into our system, you click active, and the calls go right to your phone. Super simple. Sometimes if you're tech savvy, you could have a little bit of issues like Allie did for the first little bit, but it's okay. We're there to help you. But the calls come to your cell phone. The calls come right to your cell phone.
And then are these overseas transfers, they just asked?
No. So we are 100% US and Canada. So we have a call center in Tampa, one in Salt Lake City, and then one here behind me in London, Ontario, Canada.
Nice.
Yes, sir.
Pretty solid, bro. Pretty solid. Clearly, that must mean if someone's asking, Inesta was one asking if they're overseas transfers. You might have had some of those experiences. I know I have. I've done some of the overseas transfers. Yeah, I'm not excited about them.
We get audited by TCPA like every 6 months. Like we get fully audited. And a lot of these overseas centers, and I'm not going to bash them, there's a lot of quality Filipino centers and overseas centers. And if you're using them internally, then that's fine, as long as they're calling your leads and you have control of what they're doing. The problem is if you don't have control of what they're doing, they don't have to abide by the same laws that we do. And so you are going to get yourself in trouble. Just like the buyer that I screwed me for 80 grand last month. He was a great buyer. They were making lots of money, but he got himself into a tight situation using an overseas center for overflow, and it screwed him. Like literally put him out of business. And that guy's been in business for like 10 years. So be very careful. And make sure you qualify these guys rigorously into their processes.
I had a question too, Chase. Was anything changing from what you were doing before and then after the new FCC guidelines? Has anything changed, with any leads that you're doing?
Yeah. So ultimately in about early 2023, we had already heard through the grapevine that this thing was going to happen. So we put some preparations in place. Basically, we're kind of like Geico. You guys become like a Geico agent of ours. You're basically using our brands under our brands. Everybody that's live in our system, your name gets added to our privacy policies, etc. So if the Invested American, Alexander Sella, all of those names are going to be in our privacy policies when we opt in. Now, we generate so many leads in a day that we don't even, after 30 days, we're not calling these leads anymore. So typically when you start, all the leads that you're getting are going to be from today. So you were already on the privacy policy. Now, we are also transitioning to doing 100% inbound calls pre-screened by our call center. That's actually getting released on July 22nd, moving away. Now, we're fully compliant in that regard, and we've spent, I would say, a couple $100,000 on lawyers to make sure that we were. And so, but we're just pivoting to be completely inbound, just to relieve ourselves from TCPA and all those compliance headaches. So we're testing those out right now. And we've already, I would say our transfers have always been 10 to 15% inbound calls. Soon we're going to try to get that to 100%.
Man, that's powerful, buddy.
Yeah.
Is there a way to identify? So I know we got to wrap up. I want to respect the time that we also say that we're going to do on the show. One more follow-up question, then we'll have you wrap up, Chase, your piece. Is there a way to identify the volume in Connecticut? So why don't you talk about what your recommendations are? I guess that's probably a good time.
Typically, I would ask for at least 5 states. With anything, we would allow 1 state, but you're not going to see a lot of flow just on a day-to-day basis. For 1 state, you're probably going to have half-hour, 45-minute wait times. And at that point, you're just picking your nose. It's probably not the best. So we always suggest 5 states. Cincinnati is actually one of our higher volume states, just to answer that question.
Hey, I got to give you shit, Chase. Cincinnati is a city. She was asking about Connecticut. But
Sorry.
I get it. They both start with a C. We're in America.
I'm Canadian, guys. You got to give me a chance. But I know that Connecticut, Cincinnati, they are one of our top guys. Typically from the east side, and then basically east central side down is our best pockets. And that's typically for any marketing. And then our northwest side. So like Washington, Oregon, all those guys, they're great in our top converting. Like Utah is one of our top converting states. We've actually had a girl that closed a family of 12 on 1 phone call in Utah. So, yeah.
Well, Chase, sir, whatever last thing, if you want to share contact information, anything you'd like to wrap up, buddy. So Alexander and I will wrap up the show. We both appreciate you being on the show, man. So yeah, whatever you want these people to have now and whatever your greatest takeaway is for us.
Yeah, I think ultimately, Allie, Alex, you guys are gems. And one, I want to just thank you because very rarely, and it's refreshing, very rarely do you find such authentic, loving human beings. And you guys can tell that you aren't just out for your pockets. You are actually trying to make an impact. And that's something that is rare to come by. And so I want to thank you guys for being just you. And then secondly, if anybody wants to get a hold of me, you just add me on Facebook, message me there. But one piece of advice that I would love to leave everybody, and it's probably the biggest piece of advice that I've ever received. One of the best pieces of advice that I could even give to anybody in sales. That piece of advice would just be, and I'm sorry for dropping an F-bomb here, Allie, but call your fucking leads. That's it, guys. Have a good night, day, guys, and we'll see you on the phones. Get back and get live.
Thanks, buddy, for being on the show. Hey, thanks for being on the first TIA Syndicate episode here on the Insurance Syndicate with us. We're grateful for you, bud, and we'll definitely be talking to you soon. Continued success.
Thanks, man. Appreciate you guys.
Yep.
Talk soon.
Alexander, as we wrap up and we close, bud, anything you want to leave as a last message for us? I'm excited. Next week we'll be at 8%.
Yep.
And we're going to figure it out. I want to definitely get a podcast next week while we're at 8%. We may not, we might have to use our own phones. We'll figure it out, but we'll definitely do a show next Friday. And we'll definitely have, like I said, the agenda. If you guys have a topic or something you want to share, please do so.
Yeah, we'll make sure also this amazing freaking podcast with Chase McAllister will get pushed out to our YouTube channel. So you guys will be able to see that. What's really cool about us doing this every Friday is we get to do the Invest in American podcast and push it on our YouTube channel.
Yes.
So
yeah, we're excited.
If you guys want to watch it live, you got it here. If you didn't watch it live, you can also watch it in the group or watch it on our YouTube channel at the Invest in American YouTube channel. Please go like and subscribe on that YouTube channel as well. Also follow us on Facebook and Instagram at the Invest in American. Follow our personal pages, Ollie Sala and Alexander Sala. Leslie Lewis, man, it was good seeing you at SWAT, and I look forward to seeing you at 8% too, bro. So we will see you guys next Friday, fired up, ready to go, and we will see whoever's at 8%. We will see you guys there as well. So we'll talk to you guys next week. Have a good one.
Peace.